Second time event was the church of Smyrna, and of course we're told that they were to have tribulation for 10 days, and of course 10 days is either 10 years, of course, or that 10 years prophetically, because in Ezekiel chapter 6, 1 day shall be to you for a year, God says, prophetical year. So either 10 days is 10 years of persecutions. Now under Nero, I think it was a 67 AD, they had persecutions and trials and tribulations, thrown to the lions. And again, but Fox's Book of Martyrs apparently points out that there were 10 different types of tribulation. 10 different time slots under different Caesars and Neros and such like. And he describes these 10 different time slots of persecution and trials and tribulations. Of course, when the Christians were sent to the lions and such like, they came down from the rocks and the mountains, of course, and they wanted to be martyrs. Some people said, recounted in history, they wanted to go to heaven and confess Christ in front of the authorities. Of course, other Christians were dragged and put into prisons, and then of course they were told, unless you can go before an altar and commit sacrifice and offer incense to the gods and blaspheme the name of Christ or such like, unless you can do those things, then you are a Christian. And of course they found out who were Christians and who weren't from those very things. And today we hear about people in America, for instance, who are asked questions by a panel before they can be elected to offices, such as a governor, and they just ask them, what is your stance on abortion, the murder of babies? And they say, oh, I'm not going to tell you about that. And they say, I'm not going to tell you my views and things. And of course they all write them off. They say, oh, he's a Christian, he's a fundamentalist, and they say, we're not going to have him as a governor. See how wicked the nations of the earth are, how they can get these panels together and how they can form these different groups and take away the power of the Christian church in these last days. Now, what happened under these 10 days of persecution, if you like, or these either 10 years or these 10 events of persecution? They all happened within up to Constantine, and we know that that is the early church period. So we have to look at the first two churches as Ephesus, and to try those who were apostles, of course, under Ephesus, and they found that they were liars, they were false apostles, and they were, obviously, because they weren't with Christ, they were not taught by Christ. Apostle Paul was even taught by Christ for 3 years. It says in the book of Galatians, he went down to Arabia and was taught by Jesus himself. Of course, he said, I didn't learn from the apostles. And of course, the mark of an apostle, of course, was his apostolic authority, and that he did those miracles and wonders, and that he was taught by Christ, sent by Jesus, and he saw Jesus. Now, these apostles, we're told that they were false apostles, which came after the true apostles, and they were not sent by God. And yet they went and they taught the people, and they were proved to be liars. And this is what I'm saying, this is the time event of the church. And then after that they lose in their first love, and then of course the church of Smyrna. Now this is a time event again within the early church period up to at some point 325, when of course the persecutions were stopping against the Christian church, and of course the bringing in the Roman armies and forcing people to become Christians. And of course then what happened is you got those time slots and time events. And the next time event we have to look at is the event of the third church.